Okay. Awesome. Can you guys still see that?
Yeah. Also, are you doing that 2-in-1? Because you have two teaching things, or which one is this one?
Sorry, I'm doing week 2. I moved my week 1 to a different week.
Okay.
And so this one is object creation, functions, inheritance, properties, methods, and instance.
Cool. So we'll be caught up with this one.
Yeah. Okay. So objects, this isn't quite as in-depth as all of Addison's stuff just because objects are a little bit more simple as I feel like a whole than all of the separate things that Addison just covered. But the first part of this is object creation functions. And there are 3 different ways to do that. To do a single object, you can use object literal or the keyword new, or you can create an object constructor using a constructor. And I'll just show examples here of that. Okay, so for the object literal, we're just using, kind of like Addison had already mentioned, you just use var to create it, and then just person, and we can insert in the different attributes or properties that this object will have. And then the other way is to use the keyword new there. And though the with or without new, it does the exact same thing, and it's not necessary, according to what I read online, to use the keyword new. So you can do it either way. And I actually can't see your faces anymore on my screen, so if you need something, just unmute and let me know.
Sorry, real quick, Alyssa.
Yeah.
So, and I guess this is probably geared towards the computer science people here. Is this, so when you create an object, is that like kind of like what a map would be in C++, where you have a key and a value? That kind of seems like that's what it is. I don't know if maybe Eric can.
Yeah, I don't know.
If I'm wrong or not.
Sorry, one more time. I'm just gonna step more quick.
So with creating an object here, it looks like you almost have a key and the data value there. Is that kind of like a map in C++, or am I way off?
Not sure. It's been a while since I did maps. Maps was like my weakest point. And
I don't think so. Like, I'm sorry. I don't think so. Pretty much it's gonna be the similar or so.
Okay. So I was just curious. Sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. I just don't know anything about C++. Sorry, can't answer that.
I probably shouldn't even be bringing that up because this is not a C++ class.
Oh, that's okay. If it helps for the reference, that's great.
Cool. All right.
Okay, so then you can also use a constructor, which basically is just saying that, so we have down here we have our create a person object, and we're saying my father is a new person. We've already declared a person object up here as well, so we're just creating another person object and calling it by my father. Okay, so object inheritance. This one, I had a hard time finding a lot about it for JavaScript specifically. This makes more sense in Java, so that's the example that it made more sense to me. And it's a little bit more complicated in JavaScript, and I feel like it's kind of beyond the scope of this week 2 lesson, so I'll just use this example here. So newer classes inherit properties and methods of existing classes. And if you're wanting to build a new object that's similar to one that already exists, you would use inheritance. And you can reference the existing class and then add to it and tell the program, what is going to be different about it. So in this example, we have a package of cakes and the class is a chocolate cake. And so this chocolate cake has these function of chocolate cake, bake, and frost. So then over here, we're going to also be using the package of cakes, but then we're doing a class of birthday cake instead of chocolate cake, but it extends chocolate cake. So it will have all of these same attributes that chocolate cake has, but then we're going to add to it and use, we're going to add this birthday cake method or function, and then also add put candles on cake. So this one that's here is like a subclass, basically inheriting from this class, and they'll have the same attributes and functions there. Object properties are the values associated with a JavaScript object. So you can usually, not always, sometimes they have read-only properties, but for the most part, you can change, add, or delete properties. And these are 3 different ways that you can reference them. You can call your object and then do dot and then the property name, or you can put it in the brackets with the quotes around it, or you can use your object name and then the expression associated with it. But here are a couple examples. So using the dot property here, so we have this object of person and these attributes, first name, last name, age, and eye color. And then down here, when we're trying to tell it what to write to the HTML, we're going to call that object person and then do dot and first name. And then that will pull John for us and put that in there when it's printing it out. And same with age. So object methods. Methods are functions, basically the exact same thing, except that in this case, they're properties of an object, which I can show in just a second. In the same way that you call them, you would call the object name and then you would do dot method name, and then you always have to have those parentheses behind it, because if not, it won't actually execute your function. And then there are also built-in methods already to JavaScript that you can use. So you can create your own methods or functions and use them, but then there are ones that you can just call that JavaScript already has built in. For example, this one here is our object person again. Sorry, the same examples over and over again. But they have a first name, a last name, and an ID. So then in this function of the object, so I guess, sorry, that would be a method. We're going to say return this dot first name. So it's going to call that attribute and the last name. And then, oh, sorry, this is an example of one of the built-in ones. We can have a message here and then tell it that we want to make it all uppercase. And so there are a lot of those in JavaScript, and I definitely don't know a whole ton of them myself, but uppercase is a good example that, hey, we want to turn this message into uppercase. And that works really well if you're like getting input from a user and trying to like check it and reference it with something. You can always say, let's turn it to uppercase, and then when you're checking it to see if it matches, like maybe using an if or something, then you don't have to worry about, oh no, did they type it lowercase when it's uppercase? If that makes sense. Object instantiation. I honestly still don't understand this super well, but I found a good article that has examples and explanations of it. So I'm actually going to kind of read their description and show you the examples. Sorry if that's kind of boring, but it made a lot more sense than I think that I could word it myself. And maybe that's part of my making my presentation better over the semester, is to learn it a little bit better. But so there are 4 different types of object instantiation, and feel free to interrupt me if I'm like totally off on this. But there's functional, shared, prototypal, and pseudo-classical. So for functional, we first are creating a function, and inside the function we create an empty object. And then we add properties and methods to that object. And then we will return that object down here. So, but then there is shared instantiation, which actually works a little bit better, because every time you use functional instantiation, you duplicate methods in memory every time that you're creating a new object. So this one is supposed to help overcome that limitation by making the methods share amongst all objects. So we start with a function with an empty object inside it and define the properties within it. And then methods are defined within another object. And then we extend both of our objects with these methods, and then we return the object. Okay, and then prototypal instantiation. This utilizes the prototype chain to create objects. And I read a lot about prototype chains, and I still can't quite wrap my head around what it means. So if anyone wants to stop me and explain it, please feel free to. But if not, I can just keep going. So you'll create all the methods on a separate object, and then you create a function. And then inside that function, you use the object.create method right here to attach the methods. You also define any properties inside the function, and then you return the object. And then the last one is pseudo-classical instantiation. It says that this is an attempt to overcome the amount of typing required to create an object using prototypal instantiation. This also uses a prototype chain. So instead of creating a new variable and assigning object.create to it, the pseudo-classical instantiation assigns it to this, like we can see up here. You create a new function, define properties using the this keyword, and then the methods are assigned to a prototype. To create a new object, use the keyword new. Okay, so I know that's a little bit rough, and sorry if that didn't make any sense at all, but that's basically instantiation, and hopefully if I'm representing this in the future, I can do a little bit better job of explaining that for you.
No,
But
you're good. It's definitely confusing. So with the last two, do you know if those, whether those create a copy of the value or if they're shared?
sorry, say that again?
So with the first two examples, the first one was essentially creating a copy or a duplicate, and the second one was more like referencing the object, so it wasn't a duplicate. Do you know if the second two were similar to that, where it's more like a shared reference instead of a duplicate?
I wish that I could answer that, and I don't totally know, mainly just because I don't understand fully the prototype chain part of it.
Okay.
That they're using. I don't know, maybe somebody else has a better idea. I wish I could answer that, and I'll get back to you on it.
You're good. This is all new information to me, so just curious.
I'm trying to double check it. This is a Java thing. It's similar to inheritance in C++, but this is all Java for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, this is pretty much into Java. Like I did the other class, and it's pretty much into the Java.
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. For specifically this example says that this is how you can use it in JavaScript, but I haven't actually ever done anything with it in JavaScript, so I don't know. But sorry, guys. I feel like I need to go back to that and hopefully maybe ask the professor more about it.
Totally fine.
Big stuff.
Okay.
From what I understand, the main thing is just that you can kind of inherit functions and stuff, so you don't have to rewrite functions. So if a lot of functions are doing some similar stuff, they can inherit, or a lot of classes are doing similar stuff, they can inherit functions from another class. So it saves you typing stuff and all that.
Okay, that makes sense. And there's just different ways of doing it, I guess.
Yeah, they're kind of suited for better stuff. Stuff like pseudo-classical, as far as I know, is like not used very often. Just very specific.
Okay.
Cool.
Maybe it's not something we'll ever really need to know then. But maybe. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Is there anything else that we were supposed to go over today as a group?
Also, I think the variables are shared.
Oh, okay.
Pretty sure. Because the Oracle has a documentation on it, and they're making new variables in each of the inherited functions equal to the old value. So they initialize it in the initial function, and then they put they have a rectangle class and stuff, and they put the width equals 0, and then origin equals p, and then the p was width and all that stuff. So
Okay.
I think they're right. Not 100%.
Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Alyssa.
Yeah, that's a hard subject.
Yeah.
And that was not super fun, but that's okay.
Also, I was double checking the new thing, so I think I have the answer for the new thing as well. I just was a little bit rusty on it. If you do new, it makes it a dynamic object, so you have to delete them, otherwise it can cause memory leaks. At least in C++, I'm not 100% sure in JavaScript. But you kind of choose the lifetime of the object, whereas if you don't do new, it creates an object that leaves as soon as the block is done. Or as soon as it's done being called.
Choose the lifetime of it.
That's the main thing, yeah.
In Java, it does the garbage collection automatically, doesn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I wonder how that works in JavaScript.
So I'm not sure. I think you're right in Java and JavaScript, since it handles that, you're fine. But C++, it matters.
Okay.
Yeah, what I read online, it was kind of people don't even really use the new in JavaScript, it seemed like, just because, according to them, it said that it didn't really do anything differently, but I'd never even seen it used until today, so
No,
I'm not totally clear on that.
In C++, if you don't delete stuff, you can get memory leaks, but in Java, they hated that, so they made it handle it all for you. So you don't ever handle the memory stuff.
That's so nice.
Fun.
Garbage collector.
Cool. Awesome, guys. So, any other presentations to do today, or?
Not sure.
No, it's next week.
Awesome. So for deliverables, we just have to basically be doing this stuff on a website and then have our instructor checking it. All right.
I think
we can.
Sorry, go ahead.
Good.
I think the website part is just to be skilled or expert, but to be basic, you just need to submit some documentation on it. Okay. So I was actually going to ask you guys if you can put your presentations in the Hangouts so we can refer to them and use them in the documentation.
Okay.
If we want to, just a nice to have another resource.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. It'll be nice to have the presentation backup so we can refer whenever we want.
Just like a shared link.
Yeah, shared links.
Okay.
Otherwise, through the email, it's also week 1, week 2. So we'll have on a list kind of stuff. Because in the chat, we may type some other things that will go up and down.
Okay. All right, there's mine.
Also, Addison, do you play games much?
All the time.
I see your name is Stormblade in here, so it's dude, you're definitely a gamer. I do too.
I don't know how that got on there. I think it just
I don't know, but
yeah, I'm pretty big nerd. Cool. All right, guys. Well,
okay. Go ahead.
I'm going to be out of town from Thursday to from Friday to Tuesday, but I'll be back for our next meeting if we do it Wednesday or after that.
Is this time good for you, everyone?
Yeah.
Good for me.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's okay. I'd rather have it earlier in the day or later in the day instead of in the middle of the day, but it's not that big of a deal.
Okay.
I could do anytime until about 7 to 9 p.m. is rough for me because that's when I got to tag team my wife with the kids. But any other time really works for me throughout the day.
Yeah, that time is kind of hard, 7 to 9 for me too, because with the kids obviously.
Yep.
My little one is sleeping, otherwise she'll be in my lap now.
I can manage to do anytime but Tuesday night, so.
Yeah, I think let's go by this time.
Cool. That works for me.
Yeah.
Unless,
If any changes need in future, we can make it, but maybe next week we can do this.
yeah, sounds good.
Also, Alyssa, do you work on campus?
I work at the MTC. Can you see my name
Oh,
tag?
okay. Yeah, I see the name tag. I was wondering if it's campus or not.
Yeah, no, I'm at the MTC. So
Nice.
Cool.
yeah. So I will get. Is it okay if I just post them to my YouTube and then I'll get a link and
Yeah,
I can
anything
just
you want.
write that, and then I think that I'll write who did what, and then we can submit those to him.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay.
Works for me.
Cool.
Okay, shall we wrap up?
Yeah.
And also, I think when we gonna start the work, except the presentations.
What's that?
No, okay, I'm confused. Thanks. No, sorry. Anyways,
Okay. Cool.
thank you, Addison and Elsa, for your presentations.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Thank you guys.
Thanks. See you guys next week.
See ya. Bye bye.
See you later.
Bye.
See you.